Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be talking about the new Honkai Star Rail characters that will be coming in patch 2.1. In this video, I'll be talking about the newest character, Acheron. I'll be looking at her entire kit and giving my first impressions of how I feel about it. Now, since her kit has been revealed just recently, I'm just going to take a look at it and just give my first impressions on it and not really go too much into detail because I want to save that for the pre-release. And also, since these are considered leaks and very early leaks, there's a high possibility that she could receive some drastic changes later down the line before we get to 2.1. So definitely keep that in mind. Now let's go ahead and take a look at her kit. She is the Path of Nihility. She is a lightning character. Starting off with her basic attack, deals lightning damage equal to 100% of Acheron's attack to a single enemy, a generic basic attack. Moving on to her skill, Octobolt Flash, gains 1 point of Slash Dreams, inflicts 1 stack of Crimson Knot on a single target enemy, and deals lightning damage equal to 160% of Acheron's attack to them, as well as lightning damage equal to 60% of Acheron's attack to adjacent enemies. Okay, it seems that she has two type of debuffs that is built into her kit called Slash Dreams or Crimson Knot, or probably one of them is an attack and the other one's a debuff, if I have to assume that. Moving on to her ultimate, which is an AoE called Slash Dreams Cries in Red, unleashes Rain Blade, deals lightning damage equal to 24% of Acheron's attack to a single enemy. It removes up to 3 stacks of Crimson Knot from the target. When Crimson Knot is removed, deals lightning damage equal to 15% of Acheron's attack to all enemies one time, with the damage multiplier for this attack additionally increased by 15% for every stack of Crimson Knot removed. After unleashing Rain Blade 3 times, immediately unleashes Resurge, dealing lightning damage equal to 120% of Acheron's attack to all enemies and removing all Crimson Knot stacks. Crimson Knot is not inflicted upon enemies during the ultimate. Okay, at first it seems it's not a lot, but I will have to assume a lot of it will have to come from the Crimson Knot stacks, because here it says it increases the damage additionally by 15% every stack of Crimson Knot is removed. So I'm assuming a lot of it has to come from her traces and talent. And also it says unleashes Rainblade 3 times, so I'm assuming there are stacks kind of similar to like Argentine's ultimate. But let's read the talent to see how this works. The talent called Atop Rainleaf hangs oneness. When Slash Dream reaches 9 points, the ultimate can be unleashed. During the ultimate, depletes enemies' toughness regardless of weakness type and reduces all enemies' all-type resistance by 20% until the end of the ultimate. When any unit inflicts debuffs on an enemy target when using an ability, Acheron gains 1 point of Slash Dream and inflicts Crimson Knot on the enemy target. This effect can be triggered up to 1 time per action. If the used ability inflicts debuff on multiple enemies, 1 stack of Crimson Knot will be inflicted on the enemy with the most Crimson Knot stacks. When Acheron is on the battlefield and after an enemy target leaves the battlefield or is defeated, the Crimson Knot stacks will be transferred to the enemy target with the most current Crimson Knot stacks. Okay, so I was kind of right that the ultimate is more like stack based, where it says once you reach 9 points, the ultimate can be unleashed to where you can use the ultimate. What is really nice though, even though it may seem the damage from the ultimate is not a lot, it's still very nice that it increases a lot more by the all-type resistance that it decreases by 20% from her talent. Okay, so what I can tell already is that the way she works is that her ultimate is based on point system, where it increases every time you use her skill, where once you reach a certain amount of points you gain her ultimate, where her ultimate has multiple usages, and there's a debuff called Crimson Knot that you apply on the enemy besides from the use of her ultimate, where the amount of Crimson Knot that you have, it's removed from the use of her ultimate. And once that enemy loses all Crimson Knot stacks, she deals even more damage based on the 50% multiplier that it says here in the description of her ultimate. Okay, starting to seem very interesting in terms of her kit. Let's move on to her technique, Quadrivalent Ascendance. Immediately attacks the enemy. After entering battle, Acheron gains 2 points of Slash Dream and deals lightning damage equal to 80% of Acheron's attack to all enemies, as well as inflicting 2 stacks of Crimson Knot on a single random enemy. If the enemy has Red Karma, they will be immediately defeated and will not enter combat. The technique point is not spent if the attack does not hit an enemy. Okay, seems pretty good. Gives her 2 points of slash stream, allowing you to get your ultimate faster, and also applies 2 stack of Crimson Knot to random enemies. And now moving on to her traces. Her first one, called Thundercore. When Rainblade from Acheron's ultimate hits enemy targets with Crimson Knot, her damage increases by 30%, stacking up to a maximum of 3 stacks and lasting for 3 turns. Also additionally deals 6 hits of damage when Centurion Research is triggered. Every hit deals lightning damage equal to 25% of Acheron's attack to a single enemy target and is viewed as ultimate damage. Okay, so this is a pretty good trace because it increases her damage by quite a lot, where it increases her damage by a total of 90%, and it's also good for increasing the research damage that it deals after the maximum use of ultimates that you have used. And it's also nice because it's viewed as ultimate damage, which increases the damage overall. Her second trace, called the Abyss. When there are 1 or 2 other characters following the path of nihility in the team, increase the damage of Acheron's basic attack, skill, and ultimate to 150% to 160% of the original damage. Now that is a good amount of damage increase. I feel like a lot of her damage comes from the use of her traces and talent, where they build off each other, making her skill ultimate deal a lot more damage than just increasing that damage overall from those skill set alone, which isn't bad, but it just makes it seem more complicated than the average player to understand how it fully works. But I'll fully explain it all after we look at her entire kit. And lastly, her last trace, called Red Orc. At the start of the battle, immediately gains 4 points of slash stream and applies 4 stacks of Crimson Knot to a random enemy, which is very nice. Oh my god, definitely allows you to get a whole lot of stacks a lot quicker. The stat bonuses from her traces is attack percent, crit damage, and lightning damage boost, all very good stats to get. And lastly, her Eidolons, in case you are interested in pulling multiple copies of her, which I know I'm definitely gonna go for E6 regardless. But when taking a look, her first one, crit rate increases by 80% when dealing damage to debuff enemies, and that is a very good first Eidolon. Wow. Her second one, the number of characters on the path of nihility required for the highest value of the trace the Abyss is reduced by 1 at the beginning of Acheron's turn, gains 1 point of slash stream, additionally inflict 1 stack of Crimson Knot on the enemy with the most Crimson Knot. Okay, now this actually, in my opinion, is very good. It allows you to use another character on your team that is not nihility to get the most of the value from the trace called the Abyss, which is 160% instead of just 115. Because if you go back to the trace, it requires you to have at least 2 to get the maximum value, where if you get this add-on, it allows you to only have 1, which is a lot better, because typically in a team, since she is required nihility characters and you usually run a support, if you were to not have this add-on, your team will be her, 2 other nihility characters plus 1 support, either a healer or defensive support. But with this add-on, it allows you to remove the restriction of having 2 nihility characters plus Acheron, to where you only need 1, where that 4th character can be another character that is like a more of a debuffer, or a buffer that will increase Acheron's damage overall, than just having to rely on having 2 extra nihility characters just because they're nihility. And that's one thing I kind of hate about nihility characters, because it feels like when playing a nihility character, either like Kafka or Black Swan, you typically would like to have other characters more average on 2 in order to like maximum their damage output. So with this, even though it doesn't seem that big of a deal, I personally think it's nice, just because it allows you to open up your options a little bit more, but still very nice. Her 4th one, when using the ultimate, inflicts ultimate damage vulnerability to all enemies, increasing the ultimate damage taken by 12%, lasting for 2 turns. Okay, more overall ultimate damage, that is very nice indeed. Nothing too crazy. And lastly, her E6, the ultimate's crit damage increases by 60%, and the damage taken by Acheron's basic and skill will also be considered as ultimate damage. Now that is a pretty damn good E6. Now again, it is an E6, it is meant to be more stronger than the others, but nonetheless, from reading her kit overall, I think it seems pretty okay at E0. But obviously, if you were to pull multiple copies of her, she will get a lot better. I think she's still fine at E0. So let's go back and see how she overall works. So there are 2 main mechanics that works in her kit. One called slash stream, which is stacks that you build up in order to utilize her ultimate, because without reaching 9 points, it doesn't allow you to use it, where once you do get her ultimate, it allows you to basically use it 3 times. Every time you use her ultimate, you remove stacks called a debuff that she applies called Crimson Knot. Crimson Knot can be applied from her skill and debuffs applied from your other characters in your team. Every time you use her ultimate, it removes 3 stacks of Crimson Knot every time it is used, where the damage multiplier from the ultimate that is based on each stack that is removed from the enemy that you used your ultimate on is 15% per stack, which is a total of 40% increased damage. And after using your ultimate for a total of 3 times, it unleashes an attack called Search and Research, where it deals lightning damage equal to 120% of Acheron's attack to all enemies once you remove all Crimson Knot stacks. However, a lot of the damage boost comes from both her talent and traces, where from the talent it reduces all enemies all-type resistance by 20%, which is a pretty good amount, and from her traces where it increases her damage of her ultimate by a maximum of 90%, and also additionally deals 6 hits of damage when research is triggered, which is based off 25% of Acheron's attack, which is also viewed as ultimate damage, and she gets even more damage bonus from a trace once you have 1 or 2 Nihility characters. So basically, you built out these points to use her ultimate, while at the same time applying debuff called Crimson Knot, where the ultimate removes these stacks, allowing her to deal even more damage. It may seem confusing, but I still think you need to build up energy and also reach the maximum amount of points in order to use her ultimate, which can be weird unless it's just the points, but I'm still assuming you still need to build up energy as well. But nonetheless, that's how she overall works, where they could have just made her skill set a lot stronger, where her traces and talent can be some buffs to her skill set, which isn't a big deal. It just means that you have to like basically max her out in order to get the most value out of her kit. But nonetheless, it still seems pretty good from the stat bonuses that she gets from her traces, and also the damage value that she gets overall from her traces and her talent. And just quickly moving through the recommended gear if you want to pre-farm for her right now, it does seem from reading from her kit that the new Pioneer set, which increases damage dealt to enemies with debuffs and also gives you crit rate and also crit damage from the 4-piece effect, is going to be her best in slot set. In case you don't want to farm for this set, you can farm the Thunder set, which is still pretty good, lightning damage and also attack bonus whenever you use her skill. In terms of the 2-piece, honestly, I feel like Salsodo is definitely a good one because it does seem a lot of her usage does come from her ultimate, and also you do get some crit rate from that. Another one could be Space Sealing Station in case you want to increase her damage overall from her ultimate and skill. But there is another set where I know a lot of people are saying this is the set you want to go for, where this set is coming out the same patch as she is in 2.1, where it increases her attack by 12%, where the following effect is just when you have another character of the same path of the character equipping the set, it increases her crit rate by 12%, which isn't that much compared to like Salsodo. The damage bonus is a lot more better, and you still get like 8% crit rate, which again isn't that far off. So I will have to say for now, Salsodo does seem to be a good set to farm for her 2-piece, and for the 4-piece, definitely the new Pioneer set. And yeah, that's the first impressions look at Acheron's kit. Thank you guys so much for watching. Overall, I think she is pretty good from what I read. Does seem a little confusing. I feel like they could have made it more simpler, but she does get a lot of value from her traces and talent than just the value that she gets from her skill set. But I guess we'll have to wait and see until she officially releases. And that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more content like this, then definitely subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video to support it. Check out my Twitch if you want to check out my live streams. The link will be in the description below. That's it for today, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.